Good evening, dear students. We are going to start with the next topic of surface chemistry, colloids. Till now we have completed adsorption and catalysis, two surface phenomena. Now let us discuss the third surface phenomena, that is colloids. So you have studied about colloids in class 9th. Three types of mixtures are there: true solutions, suspension and colloids. True solutions are homogeneous mixtures wherein there is a single phase, there is a uniform composition, the particle size is less than 1 nanometer. A mixture is made up of minimum 2 substances. So in true solutions, whatever components are there, they exist in a single phase. Like for example, salt solution. So in a salt solution, there is a single phase, that is the liquid phase. Salt is a solid which mixes with water and it forms a single phase. In a suspension, the particle size is more than 1000 nanometer. For example, mud water or soil in water or sand in water, it forms a suspension wherein the particle size is more than 1000 nanometer. And slowly the particles settle down. Means a suspension is unstable. True solutions are stable. Colloids are intermediate between true solution and suspension. So colloid, the particle size is between 1 to 1000 nanometer, and it consists of two components. One is the dispersed phase and the other is the dispersion medium. Now why do we study colloids under surface chemistry? Because here also there is a large surface area which is provided by the colloidal particles. They are neither very small, neither very large as in the case of suspension. So the particles of colloid are having considerable surface area which provides many different interactions possible, which we are going to see in the further part of the topic. Now first of all, let us see the classification of colloids. There are three different types of classification of colloids. One is on the basis of the physical state of the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium. So dispersed phase is just like a solute. In the case of a true solution, what is solute? That is a dispersed phase. And dispersion medium means what is a solvent in a true solution, that is a dispersion medium over here. Then what do we call it? Like what combination, what is the type of colloid that we will write here, and then the example. So there are three physical states: solid, liquid and gases. If the dispersed phase is solid, so for solid the dispersion medium can be a solid, or it can be a liquid, or it can be a gas. In all the three cases, dispersed phase is solid. Then if the dispersed phase is a liquid, this can be a solid, it can be a liquid, or it can be a gas. In all the three cases, the dispersed phase is liquid. If the dispersed phase is a gas, this again can be a solid, it can be a liquid, or it can be a gas. But gas and gas will never be a colloid. It can be a true solution always. Okay. So let us see the first type, solid in solid. So solid in solid, the type we will call it as a solid sol. And the example is gemstone. So colored gemstone all have seen in some of the other ornaments or in the ring. So here I have some gemstones with me. You can have a closer look. There are some gemstones in this bowl. Okay, so such type of gemstones, they are example of solid sol. We'll call it as a solid sol. A combination of solid in solid. Then the next type is solid in liquid. The dispersed phase is solid and the dispersion medium is a liquid. We will simply call it as a sol. Sol word comes from solid and liquid combination. So we will call it as a sol. For example, paints and cell fluids. They are examples of sol. Then solid in gas. Means gas is the dispersion medium and solid is the dispersed phase. So if whenever gas is there as a dispersion medium, we'll call it as an aerosol. Here also we will call it as an aerosol. So here example is smoke or dust. Means a small particle suspended in air. When we burn an incense stick, so there is a lot of smoke coming out. So that is an example of an aerosol. Then liquid in solid. So liquid is dispersed in solid, we will call it as a gel. Liquid in solid, it is a gel. Here example will be cheese. Now students, one important thing to make a note here is in some textbooks or in some references you will find butter here. And in some liquid and liquid combination, which we call as an emulsion, you can find butter in this case. So in some books, gel, butter is an example. In some emulsion, butter is an example. Now if we observe butter, I have both the samples, like I have solid butter as well as I have melted butter over here. You can just have a closer view. So this is liquid butter. It is melted. So when we melt butter, so we can call it as an emulsion. Emulsion is basically, milk is also an emulsion. Melted butter is also an emulsion. We'll see in the further part of the chapter, as emulsion it is liquid plus liquid. So it can be oil in water or water in oil. So milk is basically oil in water type of emulsion. Butter has a more amount of fat in it, less amount of, you can see here, butter has less amount of water and more amount of fat in it. So we'll call it as water in oil. Now but if this butter is solid, just like this, so it is solid, then it may be put into the gel category also. So that is why in some books it is given in gel and some it is given in emulsion. So understood, both actually are correct. If it is solid butter, then we can call it as a gel, just like cheese. But if it is liquid melted butter, then we call it as an emulsion. The next example is liquid in gas. Liquid in gas, again it is aerosol. So here any kind of sprays and aerosol, that will all come in aerosol. Means like perfumes, deos and all, it will form. Liquid is sprayed in the air, so it is an aerosol. Then gas in solid. So gas in solid, an example of this is pumice stone. Now, pumice stone is a stone which has a lot of pores. Even sponge is an example. So here I have a sample of pumice stone. So this pumice stone is very light in weight. You can see it is very lighter as compared to any other stone because it has a lot of pores. So this is an example of gas in solid. And the last one, it is gas in liquid. Gas in liquid, we'll call it as foam. Gas in solid, and then this is gas in liquid. So gas in liquid, we'll call it as foam. So here you can see foam. Now if you carefully observe, there is a liquid in which contains lot of air. No, foam, if you observe, there is gas trapped in liquid. So it is an example of gas in liquid. Gas in solid is again a solid sol, and gas in liquid is foam. So here just now you saw froth. It was a soap solution in which we have created foam or froth. So froth is an example, then whipped cream is example. Milkshakes. We all enjoy milkshakes, isn't it? And now as it is summer, so milkshake also contains air. The quantity becomes more. Why? Because air is trapped. Gas is trapped in liquid. So it is an example of foam. So these are all the 8 different types of colloids. On the basis of physical state of dispersed phase and dispersion medium, there can be solid sol. Solid sol again are of 2 types. One is solid in solid, is the solid sol, and gas in solid is also solid sol. Solid in liquid is known as sol, example is paint. Solid in gas is aerosol. Liquid in gas is also aerosol. And liquid and in solid is gel. Liquid in liquid is emulsion, and gas in liquid is foam. So we have seen the first type of classification of colloids. Now the second type of classification of colloid is based on the interaction between the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium. So it can be of 2 types, lyophobic and lyophilic. So one is lyophobic and other is philic. So the word phobic or phobia is to hate, and philic is to love, and lyo means the solvent. So if the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium, they attract each other, they have attraction for each other, then we will call it as a lyophilic colloid. And if the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium, they have hatred or they repel each other, then we will call it as a lyophobic. So here attraction and in this repulsion is there between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. That is why this is interaction. What kind of interaction? Here attraction is there and here repulsion is there. Now lyophilic, they are stable, very much stable, whereas lyophobic are unstable. Now for preparing a lyophilic sol, you don't need a third person, because they are having attraction for each other. As soon as you mix, a colloid will get generated. But in the case of lyophobic, they need a third person. Third person means a third substance has to be added in order to keep the dispersed phase and dispersion medium together. If we want to keep them mixed with each other, then we need to add some third substance, and that third substance is known as a stabilizer. So stabilizer is required to prepare a lyophobic sol, and to prepare a lyophilic, no stabilizer is required. Lyophilic sol just gets prepared by mixing, that's all. So example is like a starch solution or gum. Gum is an example of lyophilic colloid. So it can be just prepared by mixing gum with hot water, you get the colloid ready. Your example is metal and metal sulfide. So metal and metal sulfides, they can't be just added to the water or any solvent and just you can prepare. You need to add some stabilizer in order to prepare the lyophobic colloid. And then lyophilic is a reversible sol. Reversible means if suppose the dispersion medium is heated and removed or evaporated and removed, then again you can generate the lyophilic colloid by just adding the dispersion medium and again regenerating it. But so we will call it as reversible. But here it is irreversible because we can't generate it back. Once the dispersion medium is removed, then it is not so easy that you just add the dispersion medium and you can generate it back. A very good example is of gum. Earlier, nowadays we use different adhesives. We use Fevicol and we use glue stick. Earlier we used to have only gum. So in the case of gum, when we were small and we were using those gum bottles, So if the gum used to get dried, then what we used to do, we did not throw it away, but we used to add a little bit of hot water in it and we used to stir it. So again we could utilize that gum which had dried off. So this is a very good example in our day-to-day life of a lyophilic, that it is reversible. You just add hot water, you can regenerate. No stabilizer is needed for its preparation. And it is stable. It does not get separated so easily into dispersed phase, dispersion medium. And what is a lyophilic colloid? It is that in which the dispersed phase and dispersion medium, they attract each other. Okay, so this is a very important topic even for boards. Even this here, from this part, short questions are asked as to what is sol, what is gel, what is emulsion, and you have to give examples of it. So this table which is given in your NCERT textbook, you have to learn it properly, because 1 mark, 2 mark questions, or even now MCQs are there since the last year, so from that also it can be asked. And differences between lyophilic and lyophobic sols. Sol means solid and liquid. Two are more important, sol and emulsion. These two types, emulsion and sol, we are going to study in the further part of the chapter. So we have to focus more on this. So when we are speaking about lyophobic and lyophilic, generally we speak about sols. The third criteria of classification is the types of particles of the dispersed phase. So in this there will be 3 categories. First category is multimolecular, colloids. The second category is macromolecular colloids, and the third category is associated colloids. So what are the type of the dispersed phase particles? On the basis of that, this classification is there. Multimolecular, as the name suggests, many tiny particles, when they come together, they aggregate together. One single particle of the size of colloid, that is 1 to 1000 nanometer, it is generated. For example, gold. Many tiny particles of gold together, they aggregate to form one single particle of the size of the colloid. So such type of colloids are known as multimolecular colloids. So gold sol is one of the example of this. Macromolecular colloids are those colloids in which one particle, single particle, is the size of a colloidal range, that is 1 to 1000 nanometer. For example, starch or protein, these are polymer, naturally occurring polymer molecules. We have a whole chapter on polymers this year. So a single particle is very big. It is of the size of a polymer particle, and that is why it is known as macromolecular colloid. Means single particle behaves as a colloidal particle. Here very tiny particles aggregate together to form a particle of the colloidal size, multimolecular. So here naturally occurring macromolecules such as proteins, then starch is there, cellulose is there, and man-made in that polyethylene will be there, nylon will be there. They are all macromolecular colloids. And then the third one is associated colloids. Associated colloids are those substances which in the solution, in very small concentrations, they will act just like a true solutions. But if the solution, if the concentration crosses a particular value, then it will start behaving as that of a colloidal solution. So below certain concentration, they act just like true solutions, but above certain concentration, they will behave as colloids. They form aggregates, just like soaps. Soap, we have studied in class 10. How, what is the action of soap? How they aggregate to form a cluster, spherical aggregate, that is known as a micelle. So associated colloids, example is a soap solution. At very low concentrations, that is at like somewhere 10 raised to power minus 4 to 10 raised to power minus 3 mole per liter. Below that concentration, they behave just like true solutions. Whereas above that concentration, soap solution will behave just like a colloidal solution. And that concentration, particular concentration above which it behaves as a colloidal solution, is known as critical micelle concentration. And the aggregates are known as micelles. And there is a particular temperature also above which they will behave as a colloidal solution, that is known as a Kraft temperature. So Kraft temperature, critical missile concentration. These two terms you have to remember. And what is associated colloids, that is also very important. Multimolecular colloids, macromolecular colloids, all these are very important topics. So please don't skip these topics. In the next video, we will see the structure of soap, because it is a part of associated colloids. So we are going to see the structure of soap and the cleansing mechanism of soap. You have already done it in class 10. Again we'll revise it, and then we will move on to how the colloids are made and what are the properties of the colloids and how they can be purified.